Hello guys, welcome to my tutorial channel. So today we are going to do CRUD operation in Laravel. As you know, in my previous tutorial we looked at introduction to Laravel, the basic structure of Laravel. We also went through the design architecture, that is model view controller. So today we are going to do a CRUD operation to show you how all these communicate together when you are developing an application. We are going to start by setting up the database. Because the CRUD operation we are going to do, it will be database driven. So I'm going to show you how you set up or connect your database in Laravel. So when you open your Laravel project and navigate almost at the bottom of the root project, you'll find a file named .env. So when you get into that file, you'll find a section for DB connection, DB host, and that means it's the database. So what you'll do, you have to create your database and set up the credentials, and that's what you provide here. For example, since I'm using WAMP, I'm going to open my PHP, my admin, localhost. I'm going to create the database. I'm going to call it, let's call it something like Laravel tutorial. Then we navigate to a project, give the database name and also the credentials for username and password. So give them there, and that's it. You've connected to your database. So the next thing you are going to do, I'm going to create a model which we'll use to interact with our database for fetching responses or pushing our posts into the database. So open up my terminal. I'm going to create a model and a controller. So I'm going to write an @ command. @ make controller. I'm going to call it tutorial controller. See resource. Then I'm going to create a model. I'm going to call it tutorial. It's an error there. Let's create them one by one. Let's first create the controller. And the controller is created. So if you navigate to the app directory, you'll see our controller here, and it have the methods we're going to use for our CRUD operation. There's the index, which you'll use to fetch record from the database. There's the create, and this will show the form which you are going to use to add our lesson tutorial into the database. We're also going to use the edit function or method to edit our already existing tutorials, and also update it, the records, and also there is the destroy, which means we remove the record from the database. So we are now going to create a model, php artisan make model. I'm going to call it tutorial. And the model is created successfully also. Here we have it. And the other thing we are going to do, we are going to create a migration for our table. So we are going to create a migration, php artisan make migration, create tutorial table, you create tutorial. So we wait until the migration is complete. So there we go. Now if we go to database migrations, we'll find our table here. So we are going to add more fields, because we're going to have this will be a string. We're going to have language, so we're going to have programming language. We are also going to record lessons, so we'll have a string which will have lesson. Also we are going to have, say, duration. We'll have a string which will have duration. So if we do a migration, it's going to create the tables in this migration directory. So we are going to have the users table in our database, password reset, and also for tutorial. So let's go on and do the migration. Migrate. As you can see, if we now move to our database, you can see we have the users, tutorials, password reset, and migration. So as you can see, it has the fields that we indicated on the migrations file. So now we are connected to the database. So what we'll do next, we are going to create a form which we'll use to record the tutorials. So we'll go to views, create another directory called pages. This pages, we are going to have a file named form. This is where we are going to do a form here. So I'm going to do a container and also a row and another row. And then I'm going to do my form, so post form. We are going to have a title, page 4. I'm going to do class page center. Then you are going to say new tutorial. So yeah, I'm going to do a form group. Going to have an input. Going to have the lesson. I mean language. Have a placeholder. Also going to have another field for input field for lesson. And then another one for duration. Then we'll have a submit button. So after we are done with that one, we are going to the landing page. We are going to create a table where all our tutorials will be displayed. So you're going to create a table. you're going to have numbering, and then you're going to have programming language to be displayed. You're also going to have the lesson, you're going to have duration, you're going to have an action. So let's see. As you can see, we have the table. Now we are going to add a button to navigate to the form. So you are going to come here, create a button, you can add a tutorial. Okay, I'm going to change that into a link. It will have a class of button. So I'm going to navigate to the form. So you're going to write a route, and then you're going to say tutorial form. You're going to write a defined route. I'm going to define a route here. I'm going to say get. I'm going to call it that way. So we are going to tutorial controller a tutorial form. Then you're going to do the name for it. So after that, you are going to connect the route to the tutorial controller and a method called tutorial form. So you are going to create, or rather, let's take this create method there, call it create. I'm not going to use that method, so we are going to return a view which is the form. We navigate where it is. So this one should be this one should be medium or small, medium. Yeah, so if you click on that, you can see. So let's do something about this form. So you can see we have a form group, form control. So I'm going to have form control. I had just written it the other way around, so just going to change these ones. Yes, you can see you have the field for programming language, for lesson and duration, and submit button. So now we are going to define a route to, can say, resource, then I'll say tutorials. This one will direct it to tutorial controller, and what this route does, it creates for us multiple routes that will handle different operations. I want to show you the route that this route resource has created for us automatically. So we're going to have php @sun route list, and as you can see, we have these ones. We have the store, which we will use to store data into the database. There's the index, we have the create, and this one we are using it to navigate to the form. We'll have the update, which we'll use to update an existing record once we edit it. Maybe if it has an error, or we want to add or remove some content in that record. We'll have the show, we'll have the destroy, where we'll use it to remove a record from the database. Yeah, and so forth. So we have in this form we are going to use this name for the route, because we are actually posting the data to the database. So we are going to use that is it is tutorials.store. There we go. Also now we have to have yes, ref, have to include our token. So now we navigate to this one. We'll find it in, let me see, we just bring it down a bit. This one we are going to have it in the tutorial controller store method. So we are going to go to tutorial controller store method here, because it's a request, and this one is where we are going to get our fields. So we have the language, going to say request language, then we have the lesson, have it from the request, have the lesson, and we have the duration. We have the request, duration. So we are going now to include our model here. We called it tutorial, and if you are to use the model, what happens if we use Eloquent and we use the model actually goes to the database and looks for a name which is plural to it. For example, if we call if you call your model tutorial and you want to use that model to query data from the database, what it does, it goes to the database and it looks for a name which is plural of what it's called. For example, this is tutorial, so it will, if we use this tutorial, it will go into the database and look for a name called tutorials in lowercase. So, but for posting also, that's what it does. It goes into the database, looks for, do we have a table called tutorials? If it exists, it posts data into the database. So that's what actually happens. But if your table is different from a plural of the model name that you've created, you can actually go into the model itself and you define the name of the table. So basically you just go to the tutorial model class and then you provide the name that you want that model to interact with, or basically the table name that you want this model to interact with. So you can actually do protected, then you say table, and here you give the name. Maybe you say your table name was tut. So now if you use this tutorial model, it will be actually going into the database and looking for a table named tut. But if you don't define it, it will actually go, by default, it's going to look for a name which is plural of its name in lowercase. So, and since our table here, we've called it tutorials, which is actually the plural of our model here, we're actually going to leave it blank. So we are going to insert this data to the database. So we are going to say tutorial, going to create an object for user, new user, and you are going to write the field names of that table, language, that language you want to insert that, what is it, that variable. We are also going to see in the lesson field, just provide post what is in that lesson variable. Also for the duration, what is in that duration variable, and then you save tutorial, save, and that's it. The data will be posted in the database, and then you can do a return back, or basically you do a route and you go to the index where at least you'll check for where you'll get the list of all the posted data. So that one is posted here, so you can go to check for route. Which route is that? Actually it's just a slash, so we are going to say route that. So when it posts a data into the database, it will be redirected into the homepage, where the homepage is will be displaying all the records of all the lesson tutorial lessons that have been recorded into the database. So we have the form. Actually, we are going to do something different here. I'm going to use to have an input of type hidden, going to have a name of token, the value should be CRF, CSRF token. So let's see if it will actually work. So let's say I have a tutorial in Laravel programming language lesson. It's introduction to Laravel. Duration, it will be around 1 hour 20 minutes and 20 seconds. So we submit. It's user, sorry, so I think there's something that I've made a mess. This is not user, this is tutorial. This one should be tutorial. You can reload, see a route, that one. I think there's a problem with the route, but I think the data is already populated in the database. As you can see, we have one record, but the problem is that we have a problem with the way I've done this. It's actually return and then redirect, return, redirect, route. That will actually work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to post another tutorial. So this one will be in Vue.js. This one will be how to use Vuefire. This one will be around 50 minutes, 0 seconds. So let's see. Still has the same problem, but I believe the same that the SQL data is posted. So what I'm going to do, actually the problem is I'm going to name this route as slash, and I think that one will solve the problem. So let's do a third tutorial, and this one will be, let's see, Laravel still. We see something like roles and permissions. This will last around 30 seconds, 30 minutes, that is. So we submit. Great. But we have no record here, although we have 3 records in the database, because we have not requested for this data from the database and displaying it on that page. So what we do, we go to this section here, because this method in the welcome control is the one that is returning this view, and then we call all the records in the tutorials table. So first we define our model tutorial, there we go, and then we fetch, let's see, tutorials, we fetch all the records in that table, where this one means you get all the record in form of an array, and then you pass that array into the view. This is how you do it with tutorial. So now we go back to the welcome page. Here it is. And now you loop through the array. And this is how you write a for each when you are using the blade. It's for each tutorials as tutorial, and then you close the for each and for each. This one, it means you loop through each and every record in that array, and then you display each and every field in that row. So the first one we have it's the counter or numbering, so we'll just have that one. The second one is the programming language, so we'll just do tutorial, and then the field is language. The third one will have the lesson, and the last one will have the duration. And in the action section, we are going to have an edit button and delete. So we are going to have a pencil square, then we write edit. The button warning, the button small. Also have a delete button, but this one will be trash. Call it delete. This one will be danger. So let's reload. Okay, we have a undefined I, so we are just going to define it here on top. Just write a PHP, and then have our I equals to 0. Okay, continue. There you go. So we have the 3 records. We can add a 4th one if you like, and with this one we'll have one for Python. The lesson will be facial recognition. You have a duration of 2 hours 30 minutes. Submit, and there we go. So the next step we'll have is to edit each and every record, and also remove it from the database. So let's go to the edit, and then we'll have to do a route, and actually this route will be this one, tutorial edit. This is the route you are going to use for editing, tutorials.edit. Then you are going to pass the ID of that specific record. So I'm going to do tutorial ID. So now we go to the controller and we go to edit. I'm going to modify it a little bit. So we are going to return a view. This one will be pages.edit. Then you're going to pass the record that we want to modify. So we are going now to create this edit page because we don't have it. So I'm going to call it edit.blade.php, and actually what I'm going to do, I'm going just to duplicate this one for the create the form because it's the same. We'll use the same form. So we are going to say edit tutorial, and we are going to write the values because we already have them. I'm going to say tutorial, and this one is language. We have this one for lesson. We have that one for duration. This one is not store anymore, it will be update because you're going to update the record. Then we are going to have a put because it's an update. You're going to do a method put. So if you look at the tutorial update, you have a put or patch. So So if we go to update, so we are going to update that specific record. That's specific. We're going to update. I'm going to update all the requests. There you go. We'll have a return redirect route and get back. So let's try and see. Actually, this is tutorial. This is tutorial. So let's try and see if it will actually work. So we edit. So we have a problem. Okay, let's see. Have the edit. Oh, sorry, this one we are supposed to pass the ID of that record. See, we have a method here that is misbehaving, so we just have to get rid of it. We go to our tutorial, and here we are going just to have the ID, the one we've defined. And then we are going to have that the tutorial will be equals to tutorial find. You'll have to find the record with that ID, and then we update. So I'm going to do tutorial language have the request language. We're also going to have the one for lesson. This one will be lesson. That one for duration. This one will also be duration. Then we save, update. So I'm going to reload this one again. I'm going to call this Laravel 11.11.11, submit. So let's just get rid of this one and use the input way. So it's hidden, have a name which is method, and the value will be put input. So let's try to update this Laravel. Okay, this should be I mean type, not text. Type hidden. Yeah, so let's call this Laravel 7.3. Introduction to Laravel 7.3. So let's see, submit. Yes, you can see the update is working okay. Let's say we update this Python. We see Python pip3, submit. Yes, you can see the update is working okay. So now what we are going to do, we are going to work on delete. So we go back to our first page here. So going to say tutorial where id is id delete, then you are going to return back. So let's see. We say I want to remove the Vue.js. Okay, there's a little problem there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to we are going to do a little modification to the delete button. So what we're going to do, we are going to create a form that will hamper the destroy. Tutorials.destroy. Then we define the ID of the record. Then this one will be of method post. Then we are going to use this link submit button. So I'm going to do away with this one. We get a button of type submit. So here I'm going to have an input which is hidden, then the name will be token, and the value be CSRF token. Also I'll have another one for delete hidden, and this one will be a delete method, value to be delete. Okay, so this destroy now will have to be on this function. Look for a record with the ID of the specified one, then you delete, and then you return back to the same page. So you can see the alignment has a little bit distorted, but that's okay. So let's say we delete this Vue.js. As you can see, it's it's deleted. If you come here and look for that Vue.js, nowhere to be found. We delete this Laravel 5.3, 7.3, sorry, it's gone. So you can add it again, you can do an edit, Laravel 111. So that's it guys, thank you for watching and I'll see you in my next tutorial.